Welcome, Sagittarius. Thank you for joining me for your monthly forecast for June 2019 for the Sun or the Ascendant. This month begins so brightly. Your sector of relationships and relating is lit up by the presence of the Sun and also Mercury in your opposite sign of Gemini. But there's also a new moon which occurs on the 3rd, and that's going to add even greater potential and sparkle to the way that you share your ideas, enjoy being with people, and if you're single, potentially coming into contact with someone new and exciting. When it comes to your relationships, the role of your ruling planet Jupiter is always important. Jupiter gives you that natural sense of optimism that everything can work out for you. And Jupiter does continue in your sign, so that's a very positive thing. It's seeing you attract goodness. Now, of course, it is in retrograde through to the 11th of August, but it's still better for Jupiter to be in your sign and be in retrograde than not be there at all. And it is in opposition with the Sun in week 2 of this month, which can just give you an extra sense of bounce and positivity and possibility when it comes to how you interact with others, because that's strengthening your sense of self. The Sun and initially Mercury are strengthening your belief that how you interact with other people can turn out well. Now, it's also true to say that as this month begins, the planet of relating, Venus, is forging a very positive angle to Pluto, the planet of transformation. If you're in an existing relationship, I think this configuration, which is very earthy, going across the signs of Taurus in terms of Venus and Pluto in terms of Capricorn, I think it's possible that in an existing relationship, some kind of sense of structure can give you both a real sense of extra security, that things are working well if you can cooperate. If you are in a relationship where a partner is pretty good at sharing the domestic tasks with you, if you live together, this can be particularly pleasing, or you're very democratic about how you share your resources. It is true to say, however, that Pluto and Saturn, the planet of discipline, are very closely tethered together for much of this month, but particularly in the first 2 weeks. So you may find yourself still thinking very carefully about resources. And this would be of no surprise, because the free radical, the planetary free radical that's going to impact on June for you comes in the guise of Mars. Now, Mars is a very thrusting, go-getting, masculine influence. It's about desire, it's about instant gratification, but it's in the rather watery and emotional sign of Cancer. But the 8th house that this is influencing for you is really going to come to life this month, because already you have in the 8th house the North Node, which is kind of like a minor Jupiterian influence. It is to do with the direction of travel, and your direction of travel has often in the past been very much to do with independence and freedom. But the North Node, since the 7th of November last year, has been very much about evoking in you the potential to join, to get closer, to commit to the things that are really meaningful, or to understand yourself at a much deeper emotional and psychological level. Now, this month, the North Node is forging a superb angle to dreamy Neptune. And whilst it's possible that this influence could see you doing something in a partnership around property or a physical part of your relationship in terms of reshaping the space that you occupy, I do think it can work at a much more spiritual and emotional level. So there can be a sense that if you can create the environment, the ambience, which really feeds your sense of security, that can be a very positive thing that comes from the North Node's alliance to Neptune. But Mars, as I said before, is a very thrusting influence. In the 8th solar house, the transit it goes through for the whole of this month in Cancer, it is going to evoke the potential for a much more sensual, even saucy part of your nature. but it's also pushing you to get closer, to get more intimate in terms to achieve your full potential, which is rather more counterintuitive to that side of you that may like to have some connections, but also some disconnections, so that you maintain your natural need for independence. And what happens this month is that on the 5th, Mercury moves into the sign of Cancer too, joining up with the North Node and also Mars. And then on the 22nd, the Sun's going to travel into this location as well. So although the month begins with the Sun and Mercury in the sign of relating in Gemini, but can also flag up some open opposition. It's possible that someone may make it clear where they don't agree with you. But I think in general, this is an opportunity for you to think more carefully about your needs and expectations around relationships, and also what other people need and expect from you. And then the transition of energy into your 8th house, which is progressive but very powerful, is asking you to really think about how deeply you can bond or bind together with someone else or something else. For example, it could be a business that you start to develop a very intense relationship with. It could be a new hobby. It could be a much deeper interest in esoteric subjects like astrology or psychic phenomenon, because anything which unlocks the mysteries of life, I do think are going to become much more fascinating to you. But on the 9th of this month, Venus does move out of Taurus into Gemini too. This is a light and breezy transition. The chances are that it can be flirty too. Venus in Gemini can give you a much greater ability to harmonise your individuality with the needs of other people. So it can be quite nuanced. You can still set your boundaries, but you can also give yourself permission to be a bit more diplomatic, a bit more of a people pleaser, and where necessary, rather more diplomatic than where it is needed. There is, however, a full moon in your sign on the 17th. So the whole principle about balancing your individual needs against the needs of a partnership can come up again in the last half of this month. And because of all the 8th house energy, it is possible that a relationship that isn't working so well could reach a point of make or break. And the reason for that, Sagittarius, is that there is a very fierce opposition between Mars and Saturn in your sector of possessions, everyday money, and your core values, which goes from the 10th to the 18th of this month. From the 15th to the 24th of this month, Mars then goes on to go into an opposition with Pluto. Oh my word, this could point towards a very, very passionate connection to someone that could turn out to be very hot indeed. But equally, it could put you at opposite ends of the settee with someone that you just don't seem to see eye to eye to, and it may be someone that you've known for some time, because this energy is so intense. Let's think about it. Mars is about that instant gratification in your 8th house. This is making you think about money. It's making you think about sex. Whereas Saturn in your 2nd house is the foundation stones of your situation. Well, Saturn can be a very restrictive influence. You put that opposite Mars, you can create a lot of frustration, limitation. Things won't flow in terms of those desires quite as quickly and immediately as you may desire. And then we put Mars opposite to Pluto. Once more, we're really turning up, we're ramping up the desire level even more. Mars opposite Pluto can lead to ruthless behaviour. It's kind of like one of those energies where it's do as I say, not do as I do, or people command some kind of opportunity to their individual benefit, Pluto, whatever the impact on anyone else. So when it comes to the rush for intimacy or money, just be aware that this month does have some risks as well as opportunities. However, when the Sun does move just after the summer solstice on the 21st, it is going to be connecting to Uranus. So Uranus is going to give you the ability to be innovative, particularly around work, health, fitness, diet, life organisation. And perhaps you can therefore use its new ideas, the energy of innovation, in order to reorder your financial affairs in a very imaginative way. So if you are an entrepreneur and you want to do better, I think the last phase of this month could see you sparkle if you can try a different approach. But then Venus, which, as you remember, moved into Gemini on the 9th, that's going into an opposition with Jupiter as this month draws to a close. And I think it's possible that your desire, but in a much more easygoing way, can once more be amped up. But this could pull you towards someone in a very pleasurable event. Perhaps you're going to go out with a friend and have a jolly good time. Or it could be that it is more of a flirty situation which makes your pulse race. But I think all that 8th house energy in your situation and the second house energy, which is going on between Saturn and Pluto, is suggesting that there can be some big choices you need to make. You could encounter some big opposition. It could be quite fierce at times this month, but it's almost like whatever you go through, the transformation that this month creates will see you move to a new level of commitment in a relationship, a breakdown completely of one that's not working altogether, or someone coming into your world in a very intense, perhaps even passionate way. But whether it's going to be a longer lasting relationship or not depends on the terms of references between you. If you both want something of a fleeting passion, that's fine. If one of you wants something more long lasting, that could cause an issue. But the one thing this month will not be, Sagittarius, is dull. Thank you for having joined me at your monthly horoscope forecast. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to know more about what's going on in your situation, go on a journey of discovery beyond your zodiac sign by embracing your personal astrology. This is based on your time, date and place of birth. And if you no longer live in the same location where you were born, in terms of your forecasting, I can relocate you to where you are living now. Not a lot of services like this offer that particular feature. But equally, I use a form of forecasting called directions. This is where we take your personal horoscope when you were born, your natal chart, and advance it for roughly 1 degree for every year of your life. These are particularly impactful. The influence that they have on your natal positions, but also on moving planets that they impact upon now, the transits, really are very powerful. To find out about this, and also if you buy a character analysis and a forecast at the same time, I will give you a 30% discount. Please see the link beneath this video. This is an opportunity to understand some of the more trying patterns that have kept occurring in your life, but also to overcome them, but also embrace the positive opportunities you have to grow and to make the most of your innate talent and skills. And there will be information that can really take your breath away. It's so much more powerful than just your sun sign. Thank you.